is hope still in this storm? And help my eyes to see. Though my faith is shaken, teach me to believe every word you say is true. You are making all things new. You remind me that you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't let go of me. You never will. Here I find your love is a firm foundation, so I'm holding on to the promise of your truth. It's the hope that sees me through. You remind me that you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't
And good morning. Happy first Sunday of April, which is crazy. Did everyone survive April Fool's Day? I don't know about you guys. When I was a kid, that was like a big deal, and we would play jokes on each other and tell our teachers we were, dropping out of school, tell our bosses we were quitting. I don't see as much of that anymore. Salt in the sugar. Chocolate-covered Brussels. Ugh. For those of you watching online, just picture chocolate-covered Brussels sprouts and taking a bite right now. Whew. That sounds delightfully nasty. Well, it is Sunday. It's April 3rd. It's a pretty nice day if you don't mind a little overcast. I think it's comfortable. We are here on I guess I'll call it a kind of special Sunday. We have our brunch coming up. For those online, you can't see, but we're nicely Eastery, springy colored tables. And if you can smell in here, you're starting to get whiffs of breakfast and food and all the good stuff that goes along with that. So we welcome you, those watching online. We welcome you guys here. It's going to be hard to get through the first part of this because you guys are going to smell the food, but I promise it'll get out. We're going to go through just a few things on the schedule first, get to brunch, and then get to Galen and his sermon. So if you have your phones with you, if you have your tablets, or you guys watching online, if you can share our YouTube stream, we would greatly appreciate it. We are still reaching people outside of the state, and that's awesome. And on that, I'd like to, again, welcome everybody. And if you want to go ahead and stand, or you can stay sitting, whatever you're comfortable with, we'll open up with some song of worship. And for those online, I encourage you to crank your volume up just a little bit and join us.
We continue through our service this morning. I want to cover a couple announcements of things we've got coming up. Starting with Connect Live on Thursdays now at 7 o'clock. This coming Thursday, April the 7th, and will be virtual. And our study is 7 letters to 7 churches. So we're going to talk about the churches, the 7 churches in Revelation, and then compare them to us currently, and to figure out where we are at, and as we look at those churches. What's interesting about those 7 churches, I don't believe those 7 churches that made it into the Bible, I don't think any of those 7 churches are still around today. Now, of course, it's history of 2,000 years ago, but even so, it still gives us a great pattern as John wrote to these churches and commended them and challenged them and worked with them. So that is coming up this coming Thursday at 7 o'clock virtually, and so we look forward to that. We also have someone who has expressed interest in being baptized, and so we do want to make reference to that. If there's anyone else who would like to be baptized, and talk with me, and we will get you on the list, and we will work through what it takes to get to that point as far as being baptized. Also, Men's Retreat is this coming weekend, and Friday afternoon and Saturday, and so we've got a couple people that are going. If anyone else wants to go, talk with me, and we can still get you signed up for that. And then this summer, we've got a couple of things that we're going to be looking at. Connect in the Park is one of the ones that we're going to do. And so if you have seen a good movie that you think would work for that type of a situation, go ahead and let me know about that. I've got a couple that have been turned in already. And so we're going to do a couple of those in the park this summer. And so we're looking forward to having a great time with that. Also, the offering, as it has been for quite a while now, is on the back table back there. And so if you have offering to give to that, we'd appreciate that you go ahead and put it in there as well. So with that in mind, would you stand with me this morning? Take your Bibles, if you have them, and turn to the book of Joshua, chapter 3. Joshua chapter 3. The only thing is, if you're called Joshua, you know there's problems going on probably, right? Yeah. So Joshua chapter 3, starting with verse number 1 this morning. And it says this: Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Shittim, and they came to the Jordan, he and all the people of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. At the end of 3 days, the officers went through the camp and commanded the people, as soon as you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God being carried by the Levitical priests, then you shall set out from your place and follow it. Yet there shall be a distance between you and it, about 2,000 cubits in length. Do not come near it, in order that you may know the way you shall go, for you have not passed this way before. Then Joshua said to the people, Consecrate yourselves tomorrow, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. And Joshua said to the priests, Take up the ark of the covenant and pass on before the people. So they took up the ark of the covenant and went before the people. And the Lord said to Joshua, Today I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that they may know that as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. And as for you, command the priests who bear the ark of the covenant, when you come to the brink of the waters of the Jordan, you shall stand still in the Jordan. And Joshua said to the people of Israel, Come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. And Joshua said, Here is how you shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, and the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Jebusites. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth is passing over before you into the Jordan. Now therefore take 12 men from the tribes of Israel, from each tribe a man. And when the soles of the feet of the priests bearing the ark of the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan shall be cut off from flowing, and the waters coming down from above shall stand in one heap. So when the people set out from their tents to pass over the Jordan, with the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And as soon as those bearing the ark had come as far as the Jordan, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark were dipped in the brink of the water, now the Jordan overflows all its banks throughout the time of harvest. The waters coming down from above stood and rose up in a heap very far away. at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan, and those flowing down towards the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, were completely cut off, and the people passed over across or opposite Jericho. Now the priests bearing the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firmly on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan, and all Israel was passing over on dry ground until all the nation finished passing over the Jordan. And that is the text that we're going to use today as we talk about moving forward, continuing to move forward, as we talk about all the stuff that we see happening and what we want to see happen, and as we have our sermon in a little bit. But as we carry on this morning, we're going to sing another hymn this morning, or another song this morning. It's entitled "Good, Good Father." And I just encourage you to take the time as we sing this song to worship God because of how good of a Father He is to each one of us.
I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whispers of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. With love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, love, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I hardly think as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am.
Father, this morning as we begin our service and as we have taken some time to worship you and to hear from your word as we read it together, God, we just thank you that you are that good, good Father who as we read throughout the whole of the Old Testament, took care of the nation of Israel and how the plan was put into place for Christ to come so that we could have eternal life. And God, you do treat us like sons and daughters, and God, we thank you for that as you take care of us each and every step of the way. So, Father, now as we continue on with our service, we just want to take a moment and just pray for Aurora this morning as she is home and not feeling well. And so, God, we just ask that you will touch her and that you will just help her to get over whatever it is that she's dealing with quickly and be able to get back on her feet and up and moving, we pray. So, God, just touch her now, we ask. And, Lord, now as we take some time to fellowship in the service and to just allow some time to spend as we talk, as we share together, as we eat together. God, we just thank you for the food that you have provided for us and for the hands that have made it. God, we just ask that you will just use it, God, to strengthen our bodies and to just give us a great morning, we ask. And we'll give you all the praise. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. All right, so if you want to just wait a minute, we got to get the rest of the food out here on the table, and then we'll get started. For those that are watching online, we're going to have the slides playing in the background. There'll be some music playing as well. And then once we get done with brunch this morning, we'll come back and we will finish our service. So give us a couple of minutes to get it out to the table, and then we'll be ready to eat this morning.
Open my eyes to the unseen. Once I was blind, but now I believe. You tore down the walls move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. I can see it now, I can see it now. Your kingdom is here. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. I can see it now, I can see it now. Your kingdom is here. So come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do.
Oh, my soul, be still. When my heart is fragile, hold fast to the truth. There is hope still in this storm. And help my eyes to see. Though my faith is shaken, teach me to believe every word you say is true. You are making all things new. You remind me that you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't let go of me. You never will. Here I find your love is a firm foundation, so I'm holding on to the promise of your truth. It's the hope that sees me through. You remind me that you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't let part of you. I am yours from start to end. You hold me, and even when I wander, you're never farther.
finish what you've begun. Battles may rage, but we will not fear, 'cause we know our victory is standing right here. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. I can see it now, your kingdom is here. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. And I can see it now, your kingdom is Come and move how you want to. Come and make the whole brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the whole brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Hands all around, Jesus is near. Jesus is near. I can see it now, your kingdom is here. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. I can see it now, your kingdom is here. So come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. The old how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. Come and move how you want to. Come and make the old brand new. Come and move how you want to. Do it only you can do. You opened my eyes to the unseen. Once I was blind, but now I believe. You tore down the walls that kept us apart. What seemed like the end was only the start. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. I can see it now, your kingdom is here. Heaven's all around, Jesus is near. I can see it now, your kingdom is here. For all that we've seen, there's still more to come. We know you'll finish what
you'll hold fast to the truth. There is hope still in this storm. And help my eyes to see. Though my faith is shaken, teach me to believe every word you say is true. You are making all things new. You remind me that you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't let go of me. You never will. Here I find your love is a firm foundation, so I'm holding on to the promise of your truth. It's the hope that sees me through. You remind me that you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't let go of me. You never will. No, no. Oh, you never will. You are strong in my weakness. I'm not lost in the darkness. Oh, you won't let go. You won't let go of me. And when my heart is anxious, you're the peace that sustains it. Oh, you won't let go. You won't let go of me. You are strong in my weakness. I'm not lost in the darkness. No, you won't let go. You won't let go of me. No, no. And when my heart is anxious, you're the peace that sustains it. Oh, you won't let go. You won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. No, you won't let go of me. Through every high and low, Jesus, you're constant through it all. No, you won't let go of me. You never will. Oh, no, no, you never You show me every breath I breathe is from you. Every fingerprint part of you. I am yours from start to end. You hold me, and even when I wander, you are never
All right. Hopefully you all had enough to eat. I see Josh is on round number 4 over there. If anyone's curious. So, but yep. So as we continue on and as we get to the sermon part of our Sunday morning, and as we begin, I just have a question to ask you. And what is the difference? Are we ready? What is the difference between a bike and a trike? Well, besides the obvious. What's the difference between a bike and a trike besides the obvious of 3 wheels versus 2 wheels? Okay, balance. All right. What's that? Well, you can, but yeah. So they do. You know, remember, trikes have 3 wheels, like we talked about. Someone mentioned. Remember the big wheel when the big wheel was that big thing for Christmas, I guess, everything else, and trying to make the trike cool, and you had the brakes on either side so you could slide and do all that kind of stuff. So you have that stuff out there. It used to be that everybody had 3-wheelers. Growing up on a farm, we had 3-wheelers, and so you have all of these different things. The thing is, though, that the biggest difference that I want to talk about between a trike and a bike is this: with a trike, if you come to a complete stop, you're not going to tip over. You can sit there. How many of you, without putting your feet on the ground, can balance on a bike and not have it tip over? When you come, what's that? Yep. So with the trike, you can stand still. You can stand still, and you don't have to worry about balance because you've got 3 points of contact. It's going to keep you up. With a bike, if you do that, you're going to fall over. And depending upon how much the bike weighs, it depends upon whether you get it back up or not by yourself. Yeah, well, if they're good, most people can't do that. And nor do you want to try to do that either, as the thing goes. The same holds true for planes. When you think about planes, we're talking about moving forward this morning, and a plane. Now my middle son Jordan works at Duncan Aviation, and so he works on airplanes and stuff. Doesn't matter how much the plane costs. Okay, you can have a little 2-seater single engine, plane that people fly, or you can have a multi-million-dollar jet. It doesn't matter what the plane is. If the plane stops going forward, it falls out of the sky. It's got to be moving forward, and so it doesn't matter what the price is that it's going to fall like a rock. That holds true for us spiritually as well. If we stop moving forward in our spiritual lives, we end up falling backwards. We end up going backwards in our spiritual lives, and that just means that we have to make sure that we're always in a forward motion, a forward moving. We stagnate if we don't do that. We're stuck in the same spot. Our faith becomes stale. Anybody ever had that bag of chips that you found in the back of the cupboard? Well, let's just try these and see if they're any good, and they're not ever very good. They get stale, they get old, they don't have that same value. And it's also true for churches. It's also true for churches that as a church we have to keep moving forward. And it's not that we put our heads in the sand, and say, oh, everything is just great no matter what. We realize that some of the things that we see in our church are not what we had in mind. It's not what we had hoped for. When it comes to attendance, the people that come, when it comes to having a full-time pastor, when it comes to all of those things, but that we can't lose sight of the fact that God still wants us to go forward, that God still has a plan that He wants us to do. We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep going to see what God is going to do. So, God asks us sometimes to follow into some uncertain areas. So Joshua chapter 3, the verses that we read earlier this morning, Joshua chapter 3, the Israelites are finally ready in position to move into the promised land. They've gone through, Moses has reiterated what the law is, what they're supposed to be doing, and they're now ready to go into the promised land. And so we've already read the text this morning, so I'm just going to pull out a few points as how they apply to us here in Geneva. First of all, verse number 3. We're going to read verses 3 and 4 of Joshua chapter 3. It says this, "And the leaders commanded the people, as soon as you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God being carried by the Levitical priests, then you shall set out from your place and follow it. Yet there shall be a distance between you and it, about 2,000 cubits in length. Do not come near it, in order that you may know the way you shall go, for you have not passed this way before." So the Israelites are waiting to go into the promised land. They're waiting to go into what God has given them. And so God is now in the process of showing them just how incredible He is and the power that He has. And so they're waiting there, and so it's talking about that once the Levites with the Ark of the Covenant, once they get into the River Jordan and their feet touch the water, at that point in time, the water is going to stop flowing and the ground is going to dry up. And they're going to walk across on dry ground. And so there are so many things that are happening right now in the nation of Israel. So many new things that they've never seen before. I mean, they're heading into the promised land. They're heading somewhere that they've never gone before. This is a whole new generation of people, because anyone who was 20 years of age or older had died while they spent the 40 years in the wilderness. So it's a whole new generation of people that are going to be going in and going to have to rely on God to take care of them and to remember the great things that God has done. And so all of these new things that are facing the nation of Israel, and that's why God says, you have not passed this way before. This has never been done before, and this is what we're going to do as we go into the nation and take over Canaan. And as I was thinking about my own life, there are so many things that are new, that have been new or different since we've moved here to Geneva. When we first moved here, we had a son in school, and he was in middle school at the time, and then went through high school here. Graduated high school, went to trade college or trade school, and now he's working. We're empty nesters. That's something new that has happened since we've been here. When we came here, we had no sons who were married. Now we have 2 sons that are married. We have no grandkids. Now we have 2 granddaughters that we are doting on as much as we can when we have a chance to get up north, or they come down south. I went from being a full-time to a bivocational pastor coming down here. I changed, and have changed my jobs that I worked outside of the ministry several times, since we've been here. And so, all of these things are new things that we have to work through and go through, whether it's individually, and all of you have new things that you have come upon as well in the last 10 years that we've been here. And so some of the new things that we have coming up that we're going to be looking at is this week at Men's Retreat. I got a message from our superintendent, Toby, and he wants to sit down and we're going to talk about what does it mean to become a district-affiliated church, because that's the direction that we're going right now. And the thing is, I don't know what that means, because I've never been a part of one of those before. What changes are going to be taken? How does that change the operational status of the church? And so we're going to be meeting with him to get that figured out. Basically, it just talks about how we're at that position where we have to make sure that we have a body, a group of people in place to carry on the duties of the church, and to make sure that we can actually legally take care of that. And we've not passed this way before. It's different than where we have ever been. You know, and so we have all those things that have taken place. I mean, think about in the last 10 years the number of people who have passed away or who have moved or who have, stopped coming to church for whatever reason. It's just all of those things when you stop and think about all of that stuff that's happened. And yet, God still has a plan in place. And so just like the nation of Israel, in order for them to do what God has called them to do, in order for them to have victory, they had to keep moving forward. They couldn't stop and just sit on the east side of the Jordan River. They had to move across to the west side. They had to step out in faith, even though the river was flooding. Because the river floods at that point in time in that part of the year down there. Now, I remember I grew up on a creek where our house was. It was just down below the back of the house. And so every spring, I would hear, you'd come up one morning, and you'd hear this roar going on. And the ice further north had let loose, and all of this water just comes roaring down the creek as we get down there, and you hear it. Now for me, the whole point of it, as I looked at it when I was growing up, was the challenge now is, how do I get to the other side of the creek? Okay? What do I do? And there was plenty of times, and let me tell you, the water is ice cold at that time of the year. And there are plenty of times where I fell in the water, thought there was some ice I could walk across, and fell through the ice. It was never deep enough to really endanger me, but it did shake me up a little bit. And then you come walking up to the house, and you'd have your boots full of water, and you get the water dumped out, and you're freezing cold, and all that kind of stuff. But it was the challenge of, how do I get to the other side? And for God, He said, this is how you're going to do it. Send the Levites, send the priests, send the ones who don't normally lead the group at this point in time, but now they're going to send them out into the water first, into this raging river. And he said, as soon as their feet are in the water, so you can't just walk up to the edge and wait. You actually have to step into the water to see it take place. As soon as their feet were in the water stopped flowing, and they walked on dry ground to get the whole nation of Israel to the other side. But there was something they were asked to do first before they did. And this is verse number 5 of Joshua 3. It says, then Joshua said to the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Consecrate. Make sure that you are ready to cross the Jordan River. Make sure that your trust is where it needs to be in God. Make sure that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is going to do incredible things. Consecrate is a verb. It's an action word. It's something that you have to do. You have to prepare. It means to sanctify. It means to dedicate. It means to prepare our lives to follow the plan of God. The nation of Israel was called to consecrate themselves, and we are called to do the same thing, to prepare. We're called to decide that no matter what happens, I'm going to follow God. I'm going to cross the Jordan. I'm going to be a part of what God has called us to do as part of the church. That's what God does for each one of us here. I'm not sure what's going to take place. We have plans for outreach that we want to do this summer. We want to do the Moving the Park and get our name out there. This last week we had the nurses come in here, and they had people, and they said it was a very busy day as people were coming to be tested, to see if there's things that they can work on in their lives. So we're gonna have Movies in the Park. We're gonna have the health screen that we had here this past week. As ways to get our name out into the community, that people see that we're doing things and hear that we're doing things. We've had food giveaways in the past where we've given away hundreds of boxes of food. And as this goes forward, we'll see what God is going to do in and through us. He's brought us this far, not to leave us, not to abandon us, but for us to keep going forward. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to bring Limu. Brenda got a new job last July, and she works for State Auto. She works for State Auto, which is an insurance company. And the day that she started, they announced that Liberty Mutual had bought State Auto. Anybody ever seen a Liberty Mutual ad on TV? They are some of the dumbest ads I think I've ever seen, unfortunately. But one of them is about Limu, the emu. And Doug, that's right. And so Brenda, last week or a week and a half ago, whatever it was, got a box in the mail she wasn't expecting. And so she opened it, and it says, "Welcome Liberty Mutual," and it was a emu, stuffed emu that she got, as well as the glasses that Doug, and the hat that Doug wears. But I was thinking about that, and so I looked up emus. Emus are native to Australia. And so they're there, but they're actually, and an emu is actually on the Australian coat of arms, a kangaroo and an emu. And as they're there, and the reason that they're there is because back when they were putting together the coat of arms, everybody thought that both the kangaroo and the emu, because whenever they watched them, whenever they tried to go backwards, they couldn't do it because of the way that they're made, the way that they're built. Now they can actually go backwards, but it takes so much work and it's so difficult for both the kangaroo and the emu that none of them, they always go forwards and never back. And so the idea behind it is that the kangaroo and the emu means us as Australia, we are always, as a country, we always want to be going forward as best we can. We don't want to try and back up or back away. We want to face it, whatever is coming our way. And the point of it is this, is that we have to keep going forward as well. Whatever comes our way, whatever happens, we have to be available for what God is going to do, for the plan that God has for all of our lives, both individually as families and as a church. How are we going to do this? The part that we play in this plan. And so we have to follow God, because here's the thing. We have never been here before. We've never been here before. We've never faced some of the challenges that we face today in church. We've never faced some of the challenges that we face as a country, as a family, as individuals within our country. So we've never been here before. We need to then make sure that we're following God, and to do that, we have to consecrate ourselves. We have to prepare ourselves so that we are ready to go, that we're prepared for whatever God is going to call us to do. And so that's the challenge. We follow God, and to follow God, we consecrate ourselves so that we are ready to go forward. So this morning, as we think about those words for a few moments before we conclude, we're going to sing one more song together. It's entitled "Come As You Are," and that's the challenge that I lay out for each one of us. Right now, it doesn't matter what we've done a half hour ago, yesterday, a year ago. God is only concerned now with what do we do going forward from this point in our lives. And so we come to Him as we are, knowing that He is going to direct our paths, direct our steps, as long as we consecrate ourselves and are willing to follow Him. So let's sing this song together.
from wherever you've been. Come broken-hearted, let rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh sinner, come kneel. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. There's hope for the hopeless and all those who strayed. Come sit at the table, come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can cure. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. Come as you are. Fall in his arms. Come as you are. There's joy for the morning, oh sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. Come as you are. Fall in his arms. Come as you are. There's joy for the morning, oh sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart. Come as you are.
Father, that is the great truth to learn, is that we can come as we are. You're always waiting with open arms. You're always waiting to to receive us, and it doesn't matter what we've done in the past. It doesn't matter how we have to deal with it. It doesn't matter what we do going forward. But God, you're always there with open arms saying, here, I'm here for you right now. And so, Father, this morning as we look at going forward, as we look at taking the next step in our church and the things that are going to take place, God, I just ask that you will just help each one of us as we process this, as we think about this, as we look at what it means to go forward. So, God, may you just help us, I pray, to grasp a hold of that we have never come this way before. And so the only hope that we have is to follow after you and to consecrate our lives so that we know that we are in the right position with you. So, God, we thank you for that today. We thank you that you offer that to each one of us and that we can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we can be in the center, the middle of your will going forward, knowing what you have called each one of us to do. So, God, we thank you for that, and we give you all the praise for that. So, Father, now this morning as we prepare to conclude this part of our service and as we look forward to the meeting we're going to have afterwards for a few minutes and all of the stuff that's going to take place, God, may you just help us. May you give us strength. May you encourage us, I pray, as we look forward to going and doing what you have for each one of us and wherever that leads us. So, Father, we thank you for that, and we give you all the praise in Jesus' mighty name. And everyone said, amen. Amen. All right, we're going to take about 5 minutes or so, and we can start getting work done, getting some stuff cleaned up and put away, and if you need to eat some more, you can eat some more, and whatever you want to do. And then I would say at about 11:30 we will start our meeting, and we'll get that going and get that done, and then we will be out of here for the rest of the day. So God bless you. Have a great rest of the day today.